Hello everyone. This is the Medical Education Initiative Organization, and today we are here to present about the effects of coloring and origami on mental health in light of Mental Wellness Month this October. I guess we can start with a few introductions. So my name is Adriana, and I'm one of the co-presidents of MEIO. And does anyone else want to introduce themselves too?
Sure, my name is Somia and I'm one of the VPs of research.
My name is Dueria. I'm the other VP of Research.
My name is David. I'm the Vice President of Operations.
And we're all very excited to be a part of Mental Wellness Month and bringing up the importance of mental health to the UTSC community. To start off, we actually want to share some coloring sheets with all of you. So essentially, you can visit this website here, www.supercoloring.com, and it essentially provides a lot of online coloring sheets for you to have fun with. And I think it's really cool because it also has a lot of coloring tools that you can use, for example, like different colors and different textures to make your drawing look really nice. And you're essentially encouraged to freely, to freely color any of these designs while listening to our presentation, or if you want, you can simply just go to this website on your own time and find a time yourself to color, because I think it's a really great way to de-stress. And yeah, it's also a really fun activity. So before we start with presenting our research, I just want to give a brief introduction to our club, which is Medical Education Initiative Organization. So we were created in 2015, and we focus on spreading awareness and raising money for health issues prevalent in the UTSC community, hoping to educate the community with events pertaining to those issues. So essentially what happens is that every year we have a specific health topic that we want to focus on, and we create events and fundraisers pertaining to that topic. And we also choose a charity of choice that is related to that topic as well, so we can make a difference. So again, as mentioned, our club is quite multidisciplinary, so it involves neuroscience, human biology, health studies, and more. And our vision is to empower the scientific and general community to explore and take a critical eye on current topics of epidemiology and realize the humbling hardships of disease sufferers. So now I'm going to bring it on to the research team to come and present their results.
Okay, so we're going to be discussing some of the major research findings we found from previously published research papers on the effects of coloring and origami on mental health. So according to a survey by the Association of Directors of University and College Counseling Centers, anxiety remains the main concern among students, so among 41.6% of students, followed by depression and relationship problems. And the American Association of Universities for Health in Canada found that nearly 33% of students reported anxiety about their academic performance. So some common factors that influence the anxiety that students face include debt accumulation and repayment of school debt, rising tuition fees, paid work, balancing social life, academic success, and uncertainty about the labor market after graduation. So these are some stats for the health center usage across all 3 University of Toronto campuses from 2013 to 2018. And the results show that the number of visits to campus health centers have significantly increased over the past years. So most students who are seeking support from the University of Toronto Health Services are reaching out for early intervention to deal with stress and life issues. Ever since, early support for students dealing with stress and life issues should include health promotion programs, peer support programming, and low-intensity interventions such as guided self-help activities, skill-building workshops, and access to counseling in different formats. However, due to increased demands, more efforts and resources need to be implemented to ensure that students are able to find a solution to their mental health needs.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about coloring and different art therapies and different types of art forms, as Adriana shared a link earlier to different coloring pages. So we just want to talk a little bit about the effects of coloring on mental health. So all the studies that we discussed used students, excuse me, used university students in their trials. So the way that these trials would work is that there would be mindfulness groups that are facilitated by a practitioner, and during these sessions, students would color with modified instructions and practice breathing. And they found this to be more effective than just unguided coloring sessions. So it wasn't really just, participants coloring for the sake of coloring. They were given instructions on how to color and what to be coloring. It's important to note that particularly for coloring, it's not a form of art therapy, but it can be used as a medium to engage in creativity and center oneself. So in Ashlock and team's 2019 study, they had given 4 different coloring activities, and they had compared the state of anxieties of those students after those coloring activities had taken place. And they found that there was no one group that was more effective than the other, meaning that all 4 of the groups that took part in those activities showed not a significant, but they showed a correlated level of reduced anxiety levels. And the results basically go to show that adult coloring books are as effective as other coloring books. And this includes things like mandala creation and pre-printed mandala coloring that help at reducing anxiety. So moving on, we're going to talk a little bit more about mandalas and the theories around it. So mandalas have very important cultural and spiritual standings in many different cultures and countries, and it's usually associated with greater self-awareness, which ties in perfectly with mindfulness. So 2 theories that we wanted to quickly brush upon. So Sandmere and team found that when they tested on first-year college students, they had the students complete 30 minutes of art making activities, and they found that these art making activities, which were things like, either coloring a pre-designed mandala, freeform painting, collage making, drawing, sketching, things like that, they found that any trance-like effect of any repetitive creative activity, including these art forms, caused a decrease in anxiety. And then Carsley and team's 2015 study found that art making can have many positive effects on mood and affective state in addition to anxiety reduction. So when we talk about coloring studies, and as we'll see on the next slide, it's important to see that it is mindfulness that is at the core of these studies. So if we can go to the next slide. Perfect. Okay, so as we see that mindfulness is the state of being attentive and conscious in the present moment. So what Carsley and Heath's 2018 study found is that there was a significant decrease in test anxiety when students did a mindfulness art activity. However, the self-reported decrease in anxiety was reportedly found excuse me, oh my goodness. It was reportedly found that the self-reported decrease in anxiety was greater in females than males. And we'll talk a little bit about self-reporting in the next slide as well. But it's important just to note here that in these studies, essentially what they found is that when they measured anxiety before and after coloring activities, after creating a mandala and like designing it and coloring it, those levels of anxiety were reduced more than just free drawing or a plain design. And this is seen in the Curry and Kaiser 2015 study. So the last thing that I just want to quickly brush upon, and like just something to keep in mind, is that studies predominantly rely on self-report mechanisms, which can vary for a lot of different reasons. It's hard to measure mindfulness, especially because it's such an intrinsic value that participants hold. Because of the fact that these studies rely on self-report, we have to keep that in mind, that these are not objective reportings that are being collected. And it's also important to note the subjectivity in, the traits and the test results that are being collected. So someone just might be more naturally anxious than another person might be, especially, when they are being studied. And the last thing is that it is important for each person to individually evaluate what practice works best for them and how they can bring out the most mindfulness when they are trying to focus on a particular activity. So for someone, painting might work best, for someone else, coloring might, but the resources that we've gathered for you are just things that you might want to experiment with and see what works best for you. Now, the last thing is just in light of modern times, digital art has become very, very popular and common. And this study had basically seen if there was a difference between paper and pen versus electronic coloring. And the hypothesis that the authors had for the study was that swiping would stimulate it would kind of like simulate the traditional coloring techniques. So it should increase mindfulness, right? In theory, it should, because it's the same sort of techniques and the same sort of physical movement that you have to be doing, whether it's digital or traditional. And what the results found was that there was a significant reduction in anxiety, and there was no significant effects for techniques used. And again, this just kind of goes to the fact that it's the same amount of concentration that is required for both, and it's the same physical motions and movements that are required for both.
So it's not just coloring that has been shown to be involved in reducing anxiety and stress. Origami studies have also shown to play a similar role in helping us attain a better mental health. So just to talk a little bit about the background of origami, it's an ancient traditional Japanese art of paper folding, and it's now popular worldwide. And it's been shown to provide benefits of physical stimulation to the brain, help support relationships, creativity, safety, and practicality. So doing origami by yourself is effective, but doing it in a group setting with other people has shown many benefits, as well as it allows you to work with other people to get some type of mental relief while channeling some type of inner creativity. So interventions like practicing various forms of arts, especially those that require procedural steps, help elevate mindfulness and staying in the present, which can help to reduce anxiety and stress. And by working in a group setting along with other people, that can prevent our feelings of isolation and loneliness, and it offers a safe environment where peers are working on similar activities and can provide positive feedback to each other.
So this concludes our presentation. I hope you found this research interesting and it inspires you to do some coloring and origami and other de-stressing activities on your own time, especially when midterm season is coming up for a lot of you guys. So I just also want to remind you all that Mental Wellness Month is in October, which is this month. And so essentially the Office of Student Experience and Wellbeing, the Mental Health Network, and various campus partners are hosting a range of initiatives, events, and programmings throughout the month to continue the conversation and raising awareness about the importance of mental health and decrease stigma related to mental illness and promote self-care as a supportive community. So if you want to learn more about these various programs and events happening this month, please visit this website. And thank you so much for listening to our presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at our Facebook and Instagram, which is at MEIO at U of T, or you can send us an email at meio@utsc@gmail.com.